Not Charlie. If you want a full list of Falcon's problems, I can give it to you right now. So, his turnaround animation is not only slower than Incineroar and Ganondorf's, it literally moves him backwards. Because of this, Falcon is worse at running away from threats than Incineroar and Ganondorf. Even though he has the second fastest run speed in the game. I'm not joking, by the way. Incineroar and Ganondorf can more effectively run away than Falcon can. Just think about that for a second. So that's one thing. His initial dash is also very disproportionately bad for a character of his speed class. Most characters have an initial dash speed that is relatively close to their regular dash speed. You know, so that a fast character will be fast and slow characters will be slow, as intended, you know? Makes sense. However, there is one very notable exception to this rule. Falcon's initial dash speed is by a significant margin the most disproportionate initial dash speed in the game. His is about as good as Link and Zelda's. I'm not joking. On top of that, people frequently fall out of jab 1 and 2 to where you'll hit them with jab 1 and then they'll literally fall out of the rest of the combo and then whiff punish you for it. I've literally lost sets because I got jab and then they just fell out in like forward smash or something. So Rapture Boost functions identically to several other moves in the game. Like a Mii Brawler side B, like a Pit and Dark Pit side B, for instance. These moves all have an initial startup of around like 11 frames, something like that, which makes sense. And then the actual, it happens from there is after those initial 11 frames, they begin moving. After the movement, once your hurt box detects that you found your opponent's hurt box, the hitbox will come out 2 frames later so that it'll ensure it hits them while they're still there. Makes sense, right? So like the fastest the move can possibly be is basically 13 frames. Even though the hitbox comes out in like 2 frames. Ultimately it's designed like that so that the moves will work properly. And every single one of them comes out 2 frames later. Makes sense? With one notable exception. For some reason, they decided, so all of these are going to come out in a time frame that makes sense, except for Captain Falcon's. His is going to come out 5 frames later. For some reason, even though it functions literally the same as the rest, and you can tell they acknowledge this because the others all work the exact same. But they're just like, you know, screw Falcons for some reason. Another problem he has is you can tell that his up tilt was designed to be as an anti-air in this game. It was different in previous games, but they redesigned it, and this is evidenced by the fact that there's even an in-game tip talking about Falcon's up tilt, where it's specifically described as you should use it as an anti-air. And so to change this, they made it so his leg is intangible now, so that you'll be able to use it as an anti-air and catch people. Makes sense, right? Here's the funny part. He stretches his hand out, and it runs alongside his leg the entire time, to where you just hit his hand instead. So it doesn't even work properly. On top of that, rock rocking still exists. So those are like his problems. If you fix them, they wouldn't necessarily be buffs. It would just be moves that should work actually working. Yes, Griffin, 100%. His problems, his problems hold him back so much. It's one of the reasons I get frustrated playing him sometimes, is he's so close to being a really sick and well-designed character, with clearly designed strengths, clearly designed weaknesses, tons of depth, and infinite nuance and flexibility in his play. I love that Falcon in this game can be played so many different ways. He's not a character like Palutena who's extremely linear and you just can only play one way, really. Falcon in this game can be taken in so many different directions, and there's so much depth to how you want to approach with him, how you want to maintain ground with him, how you want to edgeguard. You can justify using basically any move he has in like a gazillion different situations. And it makes playing him much more interesting than in a lot of previous games, in my opinion. I just wish he didn't have nonsensical problems that have no reason to even exist. Where you look at the character and there's so many weird dysfunctional tendencies, and you're just like, why? If these didn't exist, this character would be so sick. And sometimes they still are. But like, so much has to go right just for you to not like constantly trip over your own feet. And then you have to be a godlike player on top of that. And you just have to just raw outplay your opponent so hard in addition to not tripping over yourself. Like, so much has to go right for you to do well. Whereas for like normal top players, all they have to do is just not play bad. Or just play good, you know? They don't have to worry about all those other things. All those other struggles that someone like me has to deal with, sadly. Yeah, Muffin Falcon. Like, I'm pretty reliant on Ubby out of shield because of how bad his movement is. It's weird to say this, but in a lot of ways, Falcon has the worst movement in the game. A lot of Japanese Falcon players are starting to complain about it now. And they care much more about what the Japanese players complain about than anything else. So maybe that'll be enough to fix obvious problems that have no business even existing. Delicious. I love up smash so much. I'm really starting to use it more. It took me a while to really appreciate what the move can do, but JD Swaglord, I think in general, yes. But to be honest, I'm not even that confident that Ganon's great in doubles anymore. I think he's mostly just super gimmicky. Swaglord, to be honest, I don't think it would really help you for Falcon at all, honestly. I think they're two completely different characters that foster two completely different skill sets. And the comparisons they get to each other are mostly just a byproduct of the aesthetic illusions of their moveset. In the sense that most of their moveset bears aesthetic similarities to each other, but from a purely functional standpoint, none of their moves behave the same in any of the same situations. You don't want to use any of their moves the same ways, ever. None of them. Oh, Captain Falcon is undoubtedly packing, in addition to everything else, Java. Can there really be any doubt? We got him, coach. We got him. That could help with rocking, but to be honest, I feel like the easiest solution by far would be to just make it to where it has very little end lag, kind of like Peach and Ganon. Peach and, just make it like what Peach's side B used to be, where if you hit someone with it, you have, like, no end lag. Another one! Oh, yeah. Oh! That was cute. I don't think it was on purpose, but if you typed that into footstool on purpose, you're a legend.